Alrighty, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Super Launch Week, day 3. A lot has happened already, and lots more will happen. You might be able to see that I've retired my Supabase light mode T-shirt today and upgraded to a little color here, collar. The reason being, we are announcing Supabase Enterprise. Uh, and so I thought maybe suit up for that, but I still couldn't be bothered to shave. So that's only happening after launch week. But yes, Supabase Enterprise. There's a couple features that are coming that especially larger users have asked for. Hi, Johnny. Yeah, it's good to have you on the stream as well. And so with Supabase, you can build in a weekend and scale to millions. That's kind of our tagline, and we're introducing more features that become very important as you scale your business. And with me today, I have the other co-founder. Yesterday we had Mr. Koppel on the stream. Today we have Ant. Ant, thanks so much for joining us. Do you maybe want to quickly run us through what has happened this launch week already? I can pull up sort of the blog post.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously Monday, as we often do, is reserved for Community Day, where we show off a bunch of amazing projects in the community, and anyone building on top of or making integrations to Supabase. And there's just some amazing work being done in the open source community, and it's just our chance to really highlight some of that.
Yeah, so you can
run
just
through a ton of great stuff.
Yeah, it's actually, I think that's probably one of the longest blog posts I've ever written. But I think what just astonishes me is how, I kind of reached out to some people, some partners, some friends, some contributors, and was like, hey, we're doing another launch week, another community day, would you be interested in joining us? And I expected some people to say, yeah, that'd be cool. And some people to say, oh, sorry, no. But somehow everyone kind of said, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, now what's this agenda going to look like? And so it was really crammed, but I think it was really nice to highlight a lot of the different things. We also had Charm on the stream with us. So they are building amazing open source tools to make the CLI more glamorous, and we're working with them to make the Supabase CLI a bit more poppin'. Maybe let's put it like that. If you if you work at Supabase, we have some features coming that heavily use the CLI. So yeah, it's going to get more and more important. And then there's tons of frameworks and tons of teachers, and like Amy and James, they are building a course for Svelte, which is going to be great. Then our own John Mayers has built this course with Remix with Scott Talinsky, and it's launching on Level Up Tutorials. Actually, I think on Friday as well, 4 p.m. EST. You can tune into the launch week. The launch week, you can tune into the party there. They have a live stream as well. And I think John has a special surprise. You might have been able to listen to the instrumental music already as the stream was spinning up. And I think there's going to be some cool stuff in store there. But yeah, tons of stuff. I think we're always just grateful and blown away by the community and everything that's happening there. So do have a read through that. Maybe I also posted in the comments. Sweet. And then that was day 1. That was only day 1. What happened then?
So day 2 was just an amazing launch. So we announced that GraphQL is now available on Supabase. So if you start a new project on Supabase now, you'll be able to communicate with your data via GraphQL, which we feel is huge and very exciting. And we'll start to roll that back to existing projects as well. But if you want to try it today, spin up a new project, and you'll find a new GraphQL endpoint which you can start interacting with.
Yeah, and I think we just talked about this on the Twitter space, but the amazing thing with that is we give you a kind of the GraphQL engine, which is actually running mostly, in the database. So it's a Postgres extension. But then also we expose the API for you via Postgres, which then also enables you to do client-side API requests. So you don't need to set up any resolvers or mutations or like that. And you can just work with your GraphQL API as you're used to it as a front-end developer. But the sweet thing is the whole thing, the whole auth experience with filtering data based on which user is logged in, that is a terribly difficult problem. But with Supabase auth and GraphQL, it just works out of the box. And so, I think that is kind of the biggest thing for me. It just works as expected. We also had the Guild, which is like an open source collective and they had built like an example app. So we gave them kind of preview release, and they built this really amazing example app. You can look at it here. It's basically just this Hacker News clone, and they basically said we know how to use GraphQL, and it was just felt like home, and the auth experience with the React auth components and all of that. That, I think that was really reassuring. And I mean, there's a lot more work to do and enabling subscriptions and real time and all of that. But I think this is really cool, and the response has been pretty overwhelming. All right, but I think that's probably enough of a recap, and let's talk about enterprisey things.
Yeah, nice. So we're quite excited about this. We're going to make a bunch of new announcements and features. Some of these features have already been available to enterprise customers. Actually, we previously had a section on the pricing page where you could contact us for more enterprise things, and now we're basically just making a lot of this available to the public as well. And so let's start with the blog post. If you head over to our blog, you can read along with this, but I'll just skip through a few of the main points here. So obviously, already a lot of amazing developers from great companies building stuff on Supabase. And the first thing we should probably talk about is some pricing updates. So I think we have with us Rory, who's head of growth at Supabase. There he is.
Hey.
Nice to have you on the stream.
Yeah, nice to be here instead of hiding behind the scenes.
Yeah. So there's one big major update that's happening to pricing. I don't know if you want to start with that.
Yeah. I think the big update I think people are going to be excited about is we're now merging the pay-as-you-go tier and the pro tier, and that essentially opens up pay-as-you-go pricing to more of our user base. So up to now, we've kind of been the gate that people have got to get past in order to turn usage-based pricing on. In order to help people stay comfortable with the pro tier limits, we actually have spend caps as part of this pricing change. And spend caps will always be set as default on. You have to physically go into your dashboard and remove the spend cap if you want to start paying for usage, paying on a usage basis. And really what this means is, along with the soft limits, you can get comfortable with the level that your project requires in terms of usage. And once you are kind of comfortable and ready to start scaling up, and you know what those costs will be, then you can just remove the spend cap and you're kind of good to go.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons we even started Supabase, was because we hated that feeling of using cloud providers. And then if you get unexpected usage or you accidentally leave something running, you always get this surprise bill at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to tackle that problem. And so it took us a year and a half to get here, but we finally been able to introduce these spend caps. So you can say, I don't want to spend more than $30 a month. I don't want to spend more than $90 a month. And you can be certain that you won't be billed for more than that.
I think another kind of point here is, I mentioned this earlier on the Twitter Spaces, but a lot of this kind of merging of these tiers and giving people more access to self-serve features has really been driven by a demand for greater compute. And essentially, we're getting people starting to move over now from RDS or use Supabase as an RDS alternative. And with that comes a requirement for bigger kind of compute instances. But folks don't want to be kind of bottlenecked by us, right? Like if the project's scaling and they need to kind of add that extra compute to really handle a workload, we don't want to get in the way of that, and we want to just allow people to do that themselves. So we've kind of called these database add-ons, and there's more information about these in our new pricing page, which you can visit whenever you need to.
Which I have right here.
Yeah, the only slight caveat is these aren't actually live in the dashboard today, but they will be within the next week. So you'll still have to kind of go through us for the next few days, but pretty soon you should be able to just scale up your project as and when you need to.
Yeah, so definitely solving a lot of the confusion that people might have had with, well, what's the difference between Pro and pay as you go? We've hopefully resolved with this. And as Rory mentioned, these compute add-ons, if you're predicting like larger workloads, and maybe it's more CPU intensive, maybe it's more RAM intensive, then you can pre-provision all the compute you're going to need, so you don't have to worry that you're going to run up against any bottlenecks when you start using Supabase. There we go. Awesome. So that's go on.
Sorry, it's probably just worth mentioning actually, while we're talking about the compute add-ons, that our pricing is at parity with RDS. So if you are kind of using RDS in your project, but you want, a more contemporary user experience or developer experience, that's a big reason why we're seeing people coming over to Supabase. So it's a good time to join the party.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks, Rose. Okay, and so the next big announcement, and this is one thing that our internal team has just been super pumped about, is the expansion of the Log Explorer inside the dashboard. So obviously, we announced not too long ago that we did an acquisition of Logflare, and so we have Chase with us now. I think there he is.
Yeah.
who's gonna maybe talk about some of the new cool features that are available or will be available in the Supabase dashboard.
Oh yeah, we have a little video up on the blog, huh? That's nice. Okay, I was trying to actually find that on staging, but I couldn't find it. Yeah, so I mean, we've kind of been iterating on the logging stuff since the end of last year, and with some new stuff, with some new things coming this week, it was just very apparent that logging was going to be much more of a front and center feature for people, and so we spent a lot of time refining the logging experience, and you can see how some of that is different on the blog post versus like what's there now. And the biggest limiter that we had was we were artificially limiting everybody to like a day's, just searching like a day's worth of logs, just because we were just iterating on it. But now that it's we are able to kind of dedicate some serious time to it. That's expanded, like depending on what plan you're on. And we've got a lot more log sources for you to query, and we've enabled like querying base. I mean, you've been able to query with full like BigQuery SQL, but now you'll be able to potentially do some joins across all the log sources if there are some things you want to see there. And so yeah, it's just much better.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can break down between, like, if you're developing on auth against the auth API, you can dig directly into the auth logs. and then switch over to the storage logs or switch over to the Postgres logs. Just that ability to flip between, and as you say, join between these sources is, I just think it's super powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it is like the edge logs, edge_log source is as all our Cloudflare logs, but they're actually Cloudflare logs as seen from our worker, which is basically the same worker that you get if you use like Logflare. But there's actually more data. There's actually more metadata about each request in those logs than you actually get from like the actual, like the original, like what Cloudflare delivers via log push, which also you only get if you're on an enterprise plan with Cloudflare. So you get a ton of useful information about every request that hits your API. So
yeah, that's really awesome. And so the next thing is, obviously you can come to the Supabase dashboard and explore the logs there. But Chase, I don't know whether you want to talk about like the new endpoint we have and some of the exciting stuff that enables as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all kind of about observability, and the logs are important to that, but also metrics that we have our Prometheus infrastructure that we run, and so we have metrics about lots of metrics about the instances that are ultimately backing your Supabase deployment, and it's very useful. Like, we use that when we're debugging issues for customers, and we use it for a lot of alerting that helps us kind of automatically triage potential issues with instances or deployments. And so we've decided to surface a Prometheus compatible metrics endpoint for enterprise projects, so that if you have some sort of Prometheus compatible infrastructure, you can point it to this endpoint and scrape these metrics into your own infrastructure. So then that way, I mean, if you're an enterprise and you're hosting things that are expected to be up a lot of the time, then you're likely using something like this to monitor all that, and you're likely using Prometheus or something Prometheus compatible, and so this gives you a way to just super easily integrate information about your hosted Supabase deployment and into all that with the rest of your infrastructure, and then potentially create alerts and dashboards and all that with Grafana.
Yeah, and I believe you've got a demo for us to look at.
Yeah, this is just something I created. If you don't happen to have like Prometheus infrastructure, this is an Elixir live book, and I'm basically just polling the endpoint, the Prometheus endpoint that we have, and parsing it out. And so there's like you can go to Supabase, you can go to our repo /livebooks, and there are 2 live books that we have in there currently. One for kind of getting PG bouncer stats directly from Postgres, but we're actually including those in the Prometheus endpoint as of like yesterday. This was kind of something I put together for an enterprise client before we had that. But we have like this Prometheus polar thing, so you can kind of like explore and monitor your Prometheus metrics ad hoc if you care to do so if you don't already have like Prometheus infrastructure. And there's going to be more kind of live books. Like, watch this repo, because we're going to be rolling out some more live books in the future that help you just show people how to like programmatically interact with their hosted Supabase deployment. But this is the Prometheus one, and so we're basically like just getting all the data periodically from this endpoint and parsing it, and then we give you like this little browser. And so these are essentially all the metrics that we provide on this endpoint, and you can quickly filter if you care to do so, to just say like, okay, here's like all the metrics with the label that contain the string memory in them. But then you can pick a metric and potentially a tag, and then graph it. And this graph, if you'll give it a minute, you can see like it updates automatically. And so here we're charting the replication, the real-time replication lag bytes. And so, we can see the health of essentially our real-time feed. And so it gets up to like 2 megabytes, and then it drops back down to less, like a lot less than that. And so you can just kind of get a feel for, I mean, this is something, if you're a heavy real-time user, or you're doing any sort of if you're doing any sort of like replication to another Postgres instance, then like monitoring the lag bytes, the replication lag bytes is important, because if you're shoving a lot of data into it, the lag could potentially get essentially blow out of what the box can handle. And so alerting on this is like important, making sure it's always kind of like as low as possible. But here we can see that it's pretty healthy with this particular project. So it's pretty useful.
Yeah, great. And some of the things that we're also going to be enabling in the future is more fine-grained control over config for things like PG Bouncer and Postgres itself, because we have a extremely wide variety of use cases of projects that are being built on Supabase. And a great example of one was Sound.xyz, who do NFT drops. So it's obviously extremely bursty traffic. And I don't know how many PG Bouncer connections we are able to get up to.
Yeah, well, so with Sound, we worked really closely with them. They're kind of a new NFT platform for musicians, and they're working on actually something really, really interesting in terms of like, if you're an artist, you can sign up with Sound and do basically like an NFT drop. And I think with the Snoop Dogg one, they actually, like, if you bought an NFT, then you potentially get like a percentage of the royalties from that song whenever it's played, and that kind of happens automatically because of Ethereum. So they're actually doing something, I think, really interesting that Ethereum like enables. And they really just started doing this, and they've been using Supabase since they started. And every week they do these drops, and they've been getting bigger and bigger artists. And just the traffic pattern is typically like difficult to deal with because it's just super spiky. But we've helped them, so they like do a drop, and then it's like everybody goes to the page and then tries to buy the, like, sign in and get the NFT, like all within the same minute essentially. And so we worked with them on making sure that their Supabase, like, there's lots of things that you can tune with Postgres typically, and PG Bouncer, and typically for the majority of use cases, the things that we've set as defaults work really, really well. But in situations like this, it required a little bit of a custom config, and so we helped them set that up. And then this last drop with Snoop did really well. They didn't have any issues with their Supabase instance, and they actually had some issues with some other serverless infrastructure that they're using, just because of limits that they are imposing. So I mean, artificially, it was somewhat artificially. And so yeah, it was a successful drop, and it was really fun for us to. It's been really fun supporting them on all these.
Yeah, and obviously, if people want to get in touch with us and discuss your different use cases, if you think Supabase is appropriate, or if you need help, advice on tuning, then you can get in touch with us. But obviously, we'll start to make all of these options available via the dashboard, so you can self-serve. But we're still definitely can help with any questions people have, or if they have questions around enterprise-specific pricing, support models, you can just get in touch with us. We have an enterprise form on this blog, or you can just email us on support@supabase.com.
Well, and this is part of just like Enterprise Day, right? Like this is the kind of service that that you can get with Supabase that you're really not going to get with like AWS or GCP, especially GCP. So yeah, I mean, we have enterprise support packages that kind of like can enable some of this. I mean, we have lots of Postgres experts too, and so it's just it's really nice to have that if you're an enterprise.
Yeah, definitely. And so with that, we can carry on down the blog, and we can talk about some of the even more new enterprise features that we're about to launch today. Definitely a lot of stuff being dropped this week. And another one of those is point-in-time recovery. So far on Supabase, you might have noticed that we do backups for everyone every 24 hours. But obviously, the more serious your project gets, it might not be enough. If we do a backup and then you have 23 hours of activity, and then something happens, then you've lost that 23 hours. So we're pleased to announce that we are going to have point-in-time recovery now available for people who need it. And so you can get in touch with us if you would like to try this out. And it just basically means that you can reverse time back to any point, and restore from that point. It kind of does exactly what it says on the tin for that one. But again, we don't have this enabled for everyone by default on the free tier, for example. But there's a form here where you can get in touch, and we can talk about that. Then the Prometheus endpoints that Chase just discussed, and here's an example of Grafana. You just connect it up, and you can start crunching through your own logs and your own data at your leisure. And now the next thing is SLAs and enterprise support. So I'm going to bring Rory back in to discuss some of these things. If he's still around.
I think we might have. I think he's
We've
probably
lost
in an
him.
important enterprise customer call right now. Yeah, let's see. Okay, we got him back. We got him back.
Can you see me?
Nice.
Sorry guys, I had the webcam cover on. Classic. Okay, yeah. So I mean, for kind of as Chase was mentioning earlier, like a lot of the things that enterprise customers are asking for us at the moment relies on SLAs and better support packages than they'd expect with the standard Pro tier. It's one of the first questions that we get people asking, like, I really love Supabase, but what does your SLA look like? And can I get more support? And the answer to that is yes, for sure. And it's something that we would love to help you with. We've been doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes to make sure our support is kind of moving in the direction of what we would consider world class. And we've also got the customer success managers ready to help with a kind of implementation plan and success roadmap to make sure that your project is as successful as possible. So again, as Chase was mentioning earlier, we're not just kind of here to sell you like cloud infrastructure. We really want your project to succeed because that aligns with Supabase as a platform succeeding. And we're in a position where we've got some of the best back-end developers in the world that can help advise on your specific setup and implementation. And also across the team, something that Inian has like mentioned a bunch of times is we've just got such a diverse skill set. So I haven't seen a project yet that's come up that doesn't have like someone in the team who's deeply experienced, or multiple people who have deep experience with an adjacent part of the tech stack, which you might be trying to kind of include in your setup. So I think it's definitely worth kind of drawing on the team's experience to help with planning out your project. Oh, you still there, Ant? I think Ant
think
might have
now-
frozen. Thought, yeah, we got some technical difficulties.
I guess internet in Germany is still a bit of a Neuland, how Frau Merkel would put it back in the day when she was still in power. Yes, very good question to see if we can get Ant back. Yeah, I think we have. There he is.
maybe we can help Germany scale their internet services.
No, so the problem is that this was Mr. Kohl who had all the connections with the TV industry back in the 1970s, and he just put all the copper cables down, and now everyone is trying to run like super fast internet over copper cables, which doesn't really work, and so that's kind of a bit of the problem there. Anyway, back to things in the cloud.
I don't know what you were saying, Ant. It kind of cut out. We're not sure where you left us.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
stuck
frozen again.
somewhere. He's stuck somewhere in the copper cables. All right, we probably should. Okay.
Let's give him another chance.
I think I'm back now. This is what happens when you put 15 hackers in a house together, is they all eat up the bandwidth.
At least people are going to know that this is truly live and not live recorded live.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, yeah. I don't know where you got to, Rose, or whether you carried on talking after.
Well, I was talking about like just the collective experience in the team in terms of helping people get set up with the project. We might even have someone who's a copper internet expert. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so every time anyone joins the team, we have this support first philosophy, and so we tell everyone when they join Supabase, regardless of your role, whether you're the CFO, whether you're a database engineer, or if you're a front end engineer, your first job is actually support. And if a customer has issues or has questions, you respond to that issue. And so far it's worked really well. And as you mentioned, because of the diverse experience in the team, we've already, I think, done a really good job of helping people regardless of the type of the project that they're running. So and a lot of this pricing and the SLAs and the support is things we've already been offering actually for a while. But it's nice now to be able to go out and shout about it and to be able to onboard some more larger customers. And so with that, that's all the major announcements for today, Support Enterprise Day. And we can talk about some of the things that actually we're already working on and are going to be available soon, including SOC 2 compliance. It's something that we get asked for a lot, and we're already a few months into this process. We should be there soon. Log ingestion. We've ingested we do ingest over 4 billion log events every week just from the Postgres instances. So not including the other logging that we do. So soon you'll be able to ingest logs for yourself and dump them into your Supabase project. We're working on some foreign data wrappers to other data stores, which will be great, and also materialized views. So if you have any questions about anything you've seen today, you can tweet us at Supabase, or you can contact the enterprise team. You can also email support at supabase.com and get involved. And definitely tune in tomorrow and Friday as well, because we've got some even bigger announcements to make, basically.
And yeah, I mean, I asked if there's any questions out there. We got one maybe that we can answer while we're here live. That's here from Dave. Will it be available on self-hosted setups too? And I believe that was referring to some of the logs. Maybe we can just
Yeah, so that's kind of part of the next big bulk of work is that basically getting Logflare in shape to ship it with the rest of the self-hosted Supabase stack and compatible with like with the analytics oriented or analytics like column oriented open source database versus like BigQuery. So hopefully we can make that happen by next launch week. So we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, we gotta keep some stuff, some ambitious goals for next time. But I think every time we do a launch week, we're always like, what should we launch? And then oh, we actually need to filter out. Yeah. So this was great. If there are any more questions, you can reach us on Twitter. Just tweet at Supabase. We're there. You can use the hashtag SuperLaunchWeek. Ask us questions. Have a read through all the blog posts. Maybe have a read through all our open source repositories and make some guesses as to what is launching on Thursday and Friday. Some exciting stuff coming your way also. Do remember, we're kicking off a virtual hackathon on Friday, and that is going to be centered around some of the stuff we've launched. So obviously, if you've always wanted to build some cool GraphQL projects with Supabase, that is something you can do for the hackathon, or whatever we're launching the next couple of days. Maybe you can use that and do some cool stuff. So as always, we have some very limited edition swag for the hackathon winners, and also we are partnering with the Future Forest company to not just build cool open source projects, but also a super forest. So for every project that's submitted to the hackathon, we're going to plant a tree. I think we're starting in the UK, mainly because Ant has family there and they want some clean air. No, but so that's what we're doing. Thanks so much. Do remember, every day we'll be streaming live on YouTube from 9 a.m. PC onwards, and 30 minutes before we're going to be on the Twitter Spaces, just having a bit of a laugh, sort of a bit of a behind the scenes in the green room. And do join us there, and then we'll jump over to the Twitter Space. And with that, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Cheers.